to make up for last week's failings, I've got you guys another double header with two juicy brews from Finland's Salama Brewing. Founded back in 2018 by 4 craft beer lovers, as in 4 good friends that love craft beer, not some kind of weird quadruplet. Salama specialise in the more modern, more extravagant style of brewing. Think hugely aromatic, hop-forwarded IPAs, silky smooth impy stouts, and a whole lot of mixed fermentation. By keeping the taste buds and the minds continuously intrigued, their goal is to drive the electric impulses in our brains absolutely wild. And in doing so, they hope to turn strangers into friends, friends into lovers, and lovers into a family that cherishes megalomaniac visions, strange stories, and bad jokes. They sure do sound like the kind of folk you wouldn't mind having a beer with. And first up, we have a diamond in a sea of glass. A citra-hopped New Englander, the Neon Beast. Born dangerous, she packs an acid kiss that holds you with an all-too citrusy haze. This is one serial killer of a NIPA. And if this beautiful, absolutely stunning can art is anything to go by, we should be in for some treat. That, and I am rather excited to jump back into another single hopper. So let's unleash the beast, and let's get pouring. Oh, so yeah, it's got a real tropical nose to it. Some soft pear and pineapple in there. A little floral note too. Almost a little herbally, you could say. And I should just take this moment to really appreciate how beautiful that piece of can is. It's actually quite pillowy in the mouth, and it's got some real soft citrus undertones. And there is actually a bright orange right up there too. But there is an almost berry-like sweetness tickling away. And there is a growing lychee note in those tops as well, which is bleeding into those middles, where a subtle grapefruit note guides you home with what can only be described as a soft bitterness. Those middles are starting to develop a melon and limey note now too. And although it is really citrus-led, it does remain quite soft also. And that top orange note is becoming quite marmalady in those middles now. There's a subtle lick of dried fruit in there too, and it is just a touch bready and a little lemony too. And now we're down into the final third. It may be very fruity on the nose, albeit quite soft and doughy. And that's the theme that continues once you dive in. But as they themselves suggested, it does slowly develop some acidic kiss, as those citrus notes only grow and grow as you work your way down, starting with a bright burst of orange and lychee up top. They help lead the others out of the darkness and into the party, and you soon have notes of grapefruit, lemon and lime dancing around. And although advertised as a NIPA, there isn't really much of tropical or sweetness to be found. Well, not for very long anyway. as although that marmalade-y note starts to pack out the back ends, it is still sprinkled by that lemony citrus. But hey, they call it the Citra for a reason. And as far as a refreshing, bright summer's day brew goes, you could definitely do a hell of a lot worse. And for our second Salama dose, we have something that should tower over the competition. The Idaho Tall Boy, a triple mountain New England IPA, made by holding two Salama tippers in one hand stacked atop each other, and the two of them form a tall boy. Better than drinking just one beer, this tall boy allows you to drink two. Hot, with three of my absolute favourites, the ID7, obviously, the Galaxy, and everyone's favourite, the Sabro, for a monolithic, or should that be trilithic delight. So let us worship at its base, and let's get pouring. People have called me an alcoholic for saying. Ooh, okay, so it's a little floral on the nose. It's almost got a potpourri-like feel to it. A subtle pininess to it too. There is no mistaking that citrus vibe in there as well. And of course some sweet berry and tropical notes. And I don't know if it's because I know the Sabro's in there, but I am getting a little creaminess, a little whiff of coconut, along with some peaches and some pineapple. And although the can may not be anywhere near as exciting, the beer definitely smells a little funkier. Wow, was that unexpected? It's got a real Bakewell tart note right up top. A huge hit of cherry and some real wild herby notes. Almost medicinal, you could say. I've got to admit, that really has thrown me for six. Both have been described as New Englanders, and thus far, not quite hitting that note. As that medicinal note is being joined by a real noticeable minty one. It really is like swigging down on Benylin, and I've got to admit, not at all my vibe. And I've got to admit, if it doesn't start to settle down soon, we might have our first incomplete brew. So much for the double header. Okay, so it must be said, some of those pineapple notes are starting to take hold up top. It's starting to become a lot less medicinal and herbal, and just a little sweeter and earthier. Granted, I'm still not loving it, but I may just persevere. And this one too is starting to develop some marmalade-y vibes in those middles. And that herbally minty note is still tickling away up top. And if we were doing a classic head-to-head, well, there would be only one winner here. And to be fair, that does come as some surprise. I had definitely given the can art point to the previous brew, but I definitely expected this to wipe the floor once we poured those cans upside down.